Hello. So today we are going to do how to run IR spectrometer. So this is the IR spectrometer. So what we are going to do is first, so this is where we keep the sample. So before doing the spectrometer, we have to clean this area. So first, take a desired solvent and keep it in the CHEM wipes. And once we dip it in the CHEM wipes, we just have to clean the area. So if you look closer, you can see a small circle. This is where we keep our sample to analyze. So first we have to clean those area, and it is desired to use a solvent that is going to evaporate faster. So once we clean that area, we can also clean this node. So this node, we use this pressure node if we are using solid sample. And so if we are using solid sample, let's clean this area as well. So once we clean that, we can turn on the software. So this Spectrum Express is the software that we are going to use for IR. So we can turn it on, type in the user address, and once it is turned on, we are going to run a background spectrum, because for each spectrum that you're running, you need to get a background to make sure that you're eliminating any other background signals. So this is the spectrum that we are going to use. And first, what we are going to do is to run a background. So if you look at the tab above, you will see a tab for background. You just have to click it, and you will see scanning background here. So we are not going to change the parameters for this experiment. So we are going to keep the range from 4000 starting point to 650 with 4 scans and for background, and we are going to keep this as such. So if you don't see this range, please make sure that you keep the range from 4000 to 650. So this is how a background scan looks like. So once you finish the background scan, you will see it 100%, and you will see a blank spectrum. Now we can do our scanning. So today right now we are using a liquid sample. So if it is a liquid sample, you just use a drop or two, and you'll just drop it just on the top of this circle, so you can see the sample in here. So once there is sample kept it on the region, we can press the scan sample here, and it will start scanning the spectrum. So this will be useful if we are doing any liquid samples. And right now you can see that as the spectrum, since we are doing 4 samples, you can see like 20%, 50% spectrum, and you will be able to see a peak here. And once it is done, you can actually click. So your files are being saved automatically on the sides. Now these are the spectrum. So there is a big peak for OH group, there is a peak for carbonyl group. This might be the functional groups that might be present in your samples. So to understand what exact values for these wavelength, you can just click labels. When you click labels, it automatically gives the spectral the peak values. You just have to drag it, and you can note these values. So now if we are using any solid samples, we might have to use the pressure gauge. So this is the pressure. So when we use that, make sure that you keep the solid in this place. So since we already finished doing it, let's clean this off with a CHEM wipe and a suitable solvent. So once that is done, what we are going to do with the pressure gauge, we'll keep a solid sample here in the circle, and we'll bring this pressure gauge, and before putting that we should clean this pressure gauge. Then we are going to give a slight pressure on this gauge. So if you want to know how much pressure it is applying, so when you hit scan, you are going to see the pressure written in here. So if you look at the scan, you can see a force gauge with the pressure. Make sure that the pressure is between 60 to 80, and don't go beyond 80. That might not be suitable to get a good spectrum. And if you're not getting any good spectrum with that one, it's better to do more pressure. So this is how we are going to run this IR spectrometer, and we are going to use this for organic experiments. And make sure that this is not the instrument that we are going to use it for instrumental analysis part. That is another instrument. So thank you.